Come check out the Connection Games and Comics. We have the largest selection of War Machine and Hordes miniatures in the Lower Mainland. War Machine Wednesdays and Sundays, with tables and terrain to play your game.
Welcome to Wargamers Shut Up and Build. I'm Mike, and I'm going to be building a Demolisher today. So here I am building the Demolisher. I'm just applying some glue to the inside of the legs, and the legs are keyed to the crotch piece. I don't know what to call it other than a crotch piece. So you can't put the wrong legs on the wrong sides unless you really force it. Don't do that. It'll just fuck up your model. Here is the other leg. Not a hard joint at all. Just put peg in socket. I make sure that it still rests relatively flat against my hard surface, and so that it will be, level. This is the furnace bit that I'm dry fitting. I just apply some glue to the inner rim here, because this is the greatest point of contact between the two pieces, between the big body. And I also just put some inside because I like using a lot of glue for no particular reason. You shouldn't do that. Don't use too much glue, kids. These are the arm bits. There's a piston style, I don't know what else to call it besides a piston, that is included with each arm that you glue in. Again, very simple join. Quite literally insert piston in socket. And you just give it a little push there. It'll stick in. This one you shouldn't have to hold at all. Just repeating the same one on the other arm. Nice clean little shove. Pop. These are a little bit of arm. These are listed as optional for the Devastator, but I took them to be mandatory for both the Demolisher and the Spriggan. These extend the arms away from the body so that the Demolisher's armored plates do not conflict with its shoulder-mounted grenade launchers. Sorry, shoulder-mounted cannons. Repeating the process on the other arm. Now these ones aren't the easiest joins. There is a little bit of give, so you'll have to hold them for a little while just to make sure that they stick. But the pieces are pretty light, so it's not too big a deal. Putting the big punchy fists on. You see me there flipping the fist around to make sure I've got it the right way in. You want the bulk of the fist, the fingers of the jack, to be facing inwards towards the center of the jack. There's one arm finished. Same process for the other arm. Again, make sure that the fingers are facing inwards, as they do on a fist. We tend to build robots in our own image, even when they're 7-ton walking machines of death. And this will be a common step for any of these jacks you build from this kit. Spriggan, Demolisher, Devastator. There's both of the arms finished there for you. Giving them a good dry fit in the shoulder socket. I guess you'd call this a bearing. It's a pretty big bearing, but it's a pretty big machine. A little dab of glue. Get them right in there. Again, the pieces are pretty light since they're made of plastic, so shouldn't be too much of an issue getting this in place. This joint is actually considerably tighter than the arm to the forearm, I suppose. Once again, repeating for the other side. You want the Khador symbol on these facing outwards, as would be logical because it's something that the Khadorans are very proud of. They don't want to hide it. Also, it would be a pain in the ass if you had it on the inside. And then there was an earthquake. Because reasons. Get his little head in there. Now, you don't have to be too worried about this because it's not going to show up very much once you cover it up with the armor plate, but you want to try and center it as much as possible, or at least I do. Then the armor plate in question. I'll move on to the shoulders first, actually. So this is the shoulder joint is keyed to the arm shield bit as well. They should only fit the proper side in the proper way. You'll have to apply a little bit of pressure to make sure it's in all the way, but you want to apply these before you attach them to the arms, or at least I believe that's the way you should do it. And again, same process for the other side. It'll only fit in the one way. Get some good pressure in there as well. Good and stuck in. And this is a very simple joint as well. It'll take a little bit of holding just because it's not as tight as some of the other ones, but it's very solid. So once you've got it glued in place, it'll be there with no problems. Just insert that rectangular protrusion on the shield into the rectangular indent on the arm, and you're good. Alongside of the shield facing forward, so that you don't have your jack backwards for no reason with armor plating behind it. Seems like a bad plan. And again, same on the other side. This one was a little bit wigglier for me. But again, once the glue was there, very strong join. I'm just using super glue for this build, by the way. That'll probably be explained in an intro, but to repeat. Just holding it until it sets. Now we're going for the shoulder rims, or shoulder rails, I guess I should say. The Demolisher is the only one of these three jacks that uses the rails. There's grenade launcher bits for both the Devastator and the Spriggan, although they look different from each other. These rails are identical from side to side, or at least mine appeared to be, so it shouldn't matter which side you place your rails on. It should be exactly the same. And we're holding to set. These joints are a little bit looser, but there's no real worry about them. They should fit reasonably tight. Shouldn't be a real need to force anything or reshape anything, unless your plastic's like really warped. Hoping it isn't. Mine wasn't. Holding that one to set too. There's that head plate. All three of these jacks have plates that almost completely cover up their heads. So it's not a big deal exactly the position you put your head in. You can already see that it's mostly covered up. This warjack can see below it pretty well. Gives it about the field of view of a horse. Just doing some dry fits, some positional testing there. Put glue in socket. Put butt in socket. You want to make sure that you have the pose you want, ideally. I was looking at this head on, so I was pretty sure that it was about level, but I had to correct it a little bit here too. And that's fine. As long as you do it before the glue sets, everything will be okay. Putting a dab of glue on his foot. You can do both feet or one foot, really up to you. If you're using strong enough glue, it shouldn't matter. I'm only doing one foot because we're going to rebase these models on scenic bases eventually. Mounting the shoulder-mounted cannons. I'm just dry fitting off frames, sorry. You want to dry fit especially the pieces that have multiple poses or a range of positions that they could be in, just so you know where you want it to sit. It's less important, but still important for the peg and socket type joints, just because they only go one way. Still good to make sure that they fit first, though. We got both of these cannons mounted. I made them pretty symmetrical as much as I could, pointing slightly down at their target. Arms are also fairly solid joins, although the arms for this particular model are probably the most ambiguous joint. You want to have the Khador symbol on the arm bearing completely facing out of the socket. What this will do is it'll give you a tighter join, better seal, and should be a stronger, more permanent join overall. In fact, I made a little bit of a mistake here, and I had to file down my Khador symbol just a little bit to get this one to fit the way I wanted it to on his left arm. But again, easy fix. Got it nice and posed. There you go. Pop that other arm in there. Just making sure that fits properly as well. Should be pretty snug, pretty tight. I have his left arm a little bit forward with his left leg. You can actually assemble these jacks completely closed if you'd like as well, but I opted not to for this guy. There you go. There's your Demolisher.